Oh, I've been reading the Daily Mail health supplements again. I should know better, really. I mean, I've got enough with being bloody old and having serious disabilities. But anyway, a little headline. So I thought, well, I'll keep moving. So I went to join a gymnasium this morning, and I've lost the name of the lovely lady. There it is. I saw a lovely Carlotta who signed me up with a wonderful gym membership because I need to walk up and down the pool because I can't walk on the roads. I'm seriously disabled now. My knee replacements aren't as good as they should be. My hip replacement works but suffers from the fact that I can't support it on my snapped Achilles tendon. My snapped Achilles tendon causes pain down into my heel, and now I've discussed it with a surgeon at Stepping Hill, and I shouldn't have an operation because it's hardly worth the trouble at my age. So I'm going to go in and have an injection in my heel. So, look on the bright side, I might see Carlotta every day. Rather trim little lady in her training wear with high heel boots. Good grief. But anyway, onwards and upwards with that one. Can't fail, really, one way or another. Always got to look on the bright side. Look on the bright side with this doctor's application, haven't you? Because one thing's for certain, they can't switch off your machines and sign you off for a speedy seeing to. So anyway, that's an advantage. But it seems a good idea, doesn't it? But then, of course, having stacked up my complaints, and my legs are the least of my worries, I don't know how I'm going to tell him about my hemorrhoids. I can't see how I can stand up and give those a flashing over the app. And then recently, I've had a little problem that I thought could have been serious. I had a swelling in the nether regions. One of the boys, keeping it polite for the lady viewers, always adoring me, of course, one of the boys swelled to the size of a fist. Now, can you believe that? Get that in me bloody Speedos. I look like I'm well sorted. But anyway, I had a urinary infection, a urinary tract infection. But how could you show that on your app? That could be accused of flashing or something, couldn't it, really? But anyway, it's all sorted, a little course of something like antibiotics, and it's gone to the normal size, so I can't wear Speedos anymore for obvious reasons while I'm walking the pool, looking at Coletta. Anyway, onwards and upwards with that one. Well, here's an interesting story, isn't it? Porn star Stormy Daniels has said in the court hearing or whatever in Washington that Donald Trump was a very disappointing sexual partner. Well, I bet he's smiling. And can you imagine? Well, I could in my heyday trying to battle with Stormy Daniels. But disappointing or not, it'd certainly leave a smile on your face for a while, wouldn't it? Got to keep looking on the bright side with these little challenges. Or big challenges, whatever the case. Saying go, better to have fought and lost than not at all. So, onwards and upwards, Donald, so to speak. Do you remember Dougie James? The Dougie. The Dougie James Soul Train. Now that was a great night. Semi-retired now, of course, and taken to horse breeding and riding. So he's become a bit of a horse whisperer. So he whispered in the ear of his pet stallion, got on his back. He didn't quite whisper loud enough. He must have done it with his croaky voice that he sings with, because it threw him off and broke his leg in 2 places. So we got Dougie Horse and Hobbling now. Horse, H-O-A-R-S-E. Anyway, onwards and upwards, Doug. Riding off into the sunset. Cheers. I'll let this go. I did a detailed one the other day of the wastage by the police claiming to be underfunded. Look at this list again. I'm not going on about it, but read the list, pause it, and just see the detail. And never believe for a minute that they're short-staffed and they're suffering from budget cuts. The bosses are getting it all. Look at them. Do we need 43 forces? Of course we don't. Well, this wistful character is Chief Constable Mike Veal. He was the boss of Wiltshire, but he got investigated for smashing his phone with a golf club whilst he was playing golf. Said it was in his pocket of his bag and it was an accident, but at the time he was being investigated for using his phone to give evidence to the press. So what do you think? And anyway, they decided not to renew his contract. Now you remember Wiltshire was the tosspot force that couldn't do the Novichok investigation, so the Met had to deal with it. So, as useless as he is, they've sent him now to be the Chief Constable of the smallest force ever, or nearly the smallest, Cleveland Police. So, I don't suppose they can do a lot of damage there. I bet they don't even use phones. Point with that little matter, Mr. Veal smashing his way around the golf course, breaking his phone. Nobody probably bothered to ask him why was he playing golf when he's supposed to be working. Tends to prove that really they don't need a chief constable at Wiltshire, so they should tick him off and then there'd be 42. Oh no, he's at Cleveland. Well, tick him off at both forces, then there'd be 41. Because you clearly don't need a chief constable if they can play golf, for crying out loud. Be allowed out, shut me in my memory. Anyway, forgot to mention that Mike Veal was involved in the investigation in Ted Heath and heavily criticised for wasting police time and failing to succeed and burbling about with it and all that. And he was leaking it to the press that he was doing his best, they say. Well, anyway, all they had to do was ask us lot in Manchester, because I used to be part of the bodyguard contingent for VIPs. Prince Philip. And I did Ted Heath. And we sat on the floor at the Piccadilly Hotel where he was butt throughout the floor with all his lackeys, and there was a strange number of young men going into the suite of Mr. Heath's. And when I say young, I mean too young to be a civil servant. They should have asked us, shouldn't they? You see it the other day, traffic warden beaten up, knocked to the ground by some distraught people. Well, whatever you think of that, there's no excuse for it really, is there? But how many of us have wished we'd done it? How many of us wish we had a baseball bat in the boot? because, well, they're such cocky bastards, aren't they? They're ignorant, they're badly dressed, dirty clothes, no respect for the position they hold, and certainly no respect for the public. They talk to everybody like they're absolute pillocks, and now they're getting a bit back. Don't condone it, though. Bit now. Nice to see Jimmy Riley back on the page. I thought he'd gone off sulking when I had a crack at his urban myth mongering, but clearly not. Anyway, Jim, good to see you. Bet you've been on holiday, haven't you, again? Anyway, onwards and upwards, things to do, pints of Guinness to have, got to rest my knees, have a nap, just get me hemorrhoids ready for a flash to the doctor's app, and the job's a good one. So, bye all.